Money in politics, top donors and how they're influencing the 2024 election. Money talks, and in the 2024 election, it's practically shouting from the rooftops. With billions flowing into campaigns, this election could break all records. But who are the big players bankrolling this cash flow, and what policies are they hoping to buy? Today, we're uncovering the top donors of the 2024 election, names like Elon Musk, Michael Bloomberg, and Ken Griffin, and exploring how their investments could impact everything from campaign messaging to policy priorities. Let's dive into how big money in politics shapes the race for the White House. In 2024, we're seeing projected spending of over $14 billion, a record breaker. Although grassroots donations make up part of this, billionaires, corporations, and special interest groups dominate. Think of these donations as political investments, steering not just candidates but policy directions on major issues like tax reform, climate policy, and tech regulation. Let's start with one of the biggest forces in political donations, super PACs, or political action committees. These super PACs can spend unlimited funds, and because of Citizens United in 2010, they're able to accept money from corporations and billionaires alike. But these aren't just donations, they're investments. These funds influence campaign ads, set talking points, and steer candidate priorities. This funding doesn't just support candidates, it funds messaging that can sway public opinion, control narratives, and even drive policy priorities. Major donors. 1. Elon Musk, tech billionaire with growing political ambitions. Elon Musk, known for his ventures like Tesla, SpaceX, and now the social platform X, has been making headlines for more than just business. Musk's financial contributions in 2024 are largely directed at candidates and policies that align with his libertarian-leaning ideals, reduced regulation, tax policies favoring innovation, and a commitment to free speech on digital platforms. Unlike traditional donors, Musk doesn't rely solely on donations to exert influence. His ownership of X provides him with a megaphone to directly shape public opinion and narrative. Although Musk's direct political contributions lean toward pro-business and deregulation candidates, his indirect influence may be even more potent. Through X, he impacts discourse on critical issues, from immigration and AI regulation to energy independence and national security. Musk's donations, and his digital influence, signal his preference for a lighter regulatory environment, policies encouraging space exploration, and a tax structure favorable to tech and energy innovation. 2. Michael Bloomberg, media mogul and environmental advocate. On the other side of the political spectrum, we have Michael Bloomberg, the media tycoon and former New York City mayor who has long been an advocate for climate action. Bloomberg has donated hundreds of millions over past election cycles to progressive causes and is one of the top funders of climate change initiatives in the 2024 election. His funds primarily support pro-climate candidates and environmental advocacy groups across the country. Through Bloomberg Philanthropies, he supports not just presidential candidates but also local and state races where environmental policies can be directly influenced. Bloomberg's strategy is comprehensive. He doesn't just invest in candidates but also in broader campaigns to educate voters on climate issues, aiming to make climate action a top election priority. His contributions play a significant role in shaping public perception on renewable energy, pollution control, and sustainable policy reforms. 3. Charles Koch and the Americans for Prosperity Network. Charles Koch, a longtime conservative donor, continues to exert substantial influence through his organization, Americans for Prosperity, AFP. Koch's approach is less about direct contributions to individual candidates and more about funding broad conservative initiatives that align with his core values: minimal government intervention, lower taxes, and free market policies. Through AFP, Koch supports candidates who will prioritize economic freedom and oppose policies like Green New Deal initiatives and stricter corporate regulations. With millions channeled into Senate, House, and even judicial races, AFP shapes the conservative agenda not just at the national level, but in state and local governments. In 2024, AFP is backing candidates who oppose extensive federal oversight, aiming to build a more conservative judiciary in state legislatures that resist federal intervention. Koch's influence focuses on limiting government spending, prioritizing personal freedoms, and encouraging an economy where business thrives with fewer constraints. 4. Ken Griffin, hedge fund billionaire with a pro-business agenda. Ken Griffin, the CEO of Citadel, is another key conservative donor in 2024. Griffin's focus is on backing pro-business candidates who support deregulation, tax cuts for corporations, and favorable policies for the financial sector. With hundreds of millions donated, Griffin is one of the largest contributors to Republican super PACs, particularly those supporting Senate and House races. Griffin's approach is strategic, by investing in candidates at all levels. He's supporting policies that make financial markets more accessible and less regulated. His backing has extended to candidates pushing for lower capital gains taxes and a reduced corporate tax rate. By contributing to Republican candidates who support a less interventionist economic approach, Griffin's donations aim to preserve an economic environment beneficial to Wall Street and hedge fund operations. 5. Sam Bankman-Fried and crypto industry influence. The cryptocurrency industry, though facing challenges after FTX's collapse, remains a notable influence in the 2024 election. Sam Bankman-Fried, the former CEO of FTX, was a significant donor in past cycles, advocating for candidates who supported lighter regulatory measures for digital assets. Although Bankman-Fried's legal troubles have dampened his political activity, other crypto industry donors continue to funnel millions into campaigns promoting a crypto-friendly regulatory framework. Even without Bankman-Fried's presence, the crypto industry's contributions aim to support a future where digital assets face fewer federal restrictions, pushing candidates to consider policies beneficial for blockchain innovation and decentralized finance. Although crypto's political capital may have taken a hit, other industry players continue to fund campaigns to ensure favorable policies. 6. George Soros, billionaire philanthropist and financier. George Soros, the influential billionaire and philanthropist, remains a key player in the U.S. electoral landscape as one of the largest donors for the 2024 election. Through his Open Society foundations, he channels significant resources into supporting progressive candidates and causes, focusing on social justice, democratic governance, and civil rights. His contributions target crucial races that align with his vision for a more equitable society, including initiatives aimed at criminal justice reform and economic equality. While Soros is often a polarizing figure, praised for his commitment to transparency and criticized for his financial influence, his impact on the political arena is undeniable. As the 2024 election approaches, his funding will continue to shape discussions around representation and justice in America. 7. Industry influence. Fossil fuels versus renewable energy. It's not just individual billionaires shaping the election. Entire industries are waging policy battles through strategic donations. The fossil fuel industry, for example, is heavily backing conservative candidates who oppose strict environmental regulations. Oil and gas companies are funding campaigns in key states to maintain a business-friendly environment that avoids heavy carbon taxation. Meanwhile, the renewable energy industry is channeling millions to progressive candidates advocating for green energy policies and the expansion of subsidies for clean energy. These contributions are strategic, supporting candidates likely to implement policies that affect the industry's growth, such as carbon credits and tax incentives for renewable technology. The result is a political landscape divided on climate policy, with each side pushing its agenda through financial support. Let's dive into the shadowy world of dark money, which is another major player. This type of funding allows nonprofits to funnel money into campaigns without revealing their donors, making billions of dollars in 2024 spending untraceable. Whether supporting conservative or liberal causes, dark money remains largely outside public scrutiny, allowing for quiet influence over election outcomes. Nonprofits linked to both conservative and liberal causes pour billions into campaign ads and voter outreach without disclosing where the money comes from. Dark money has increased influence over the election narrative, making it difficult for voters to understand the true origins of campaign support. As nonprofits fund key ad buys, dark money shapes voter perception, creating another layer of influence on election day. With dark money flooding campaigns, voters are often unaware of who's funding their favorite candidates or political messages. This lack of transparency allows powerful interests to shape narratives quietly, impacting everything from Senate races to state legislation. Grassroots versus big donors. Of course, not all political contributions come from billionaires and corporations. Grassroots movements are contributing small amounts that add up to millions to fund their chosen candidates. With candidates like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren proving the impact of smaller donors. Candidates like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, who pioneered small-dollar fundraising, continue to rely on these donations to promote policies addressing healthcare reform, wealth inequality, and social justice. For many, grassroots donations are about preserving democracy in a system increasingly dominated by elite interests. Small donations empower candidates to run more independently, without relying on corporate-backed super PACs. The advantages of grassroots funding are numerous. It encourages democratic participation and creates a sense of community. Candidates who rely on grassroots support tend to maintain greater independence from corporate interests, allowing them to focus on policies that benefit their constituents rather than their donors. Furthermore, grassroots campaigns often resonate more with voters who feel neglected by traditional political funding. They showcase a diverse array of voices and perspectives, ensuring that issues affecting everyday Americans are front and center in political discussions. Building a sustainable donor base requires significant time and effort. Many grassroots campaigns struggle to compete against well-funded opponents. Especially in high-stakes elections where media exposure and campaign infrastructure are crucial. Additionally, while grassroots movements can inspire excitement, maintaining momentum over the long term can be challenging, leading some candidates to rely on larger donations as their campaigns progress. The influence of billionaires like Musk, Griffin, Bloomberg, and Koch remains strong, casting doubt on the power of grassroots donations to compete with super PACs' enormous funding pools. Proving that ordinary voters are still a force in the political arena. Their financial muscle provides candidates with the resources needed for extensive advertising, staff, and outreach efforts. This type of funding can be pivotal in competitive races, enabling candidates to reach voters more effectively and convey their messages on a larger scale. The advantages of big donor contributions are clear. They provide a significant financial advantage that can translate to electoral success. Candidates backed by large donors can run comprehensive campaigns with substantial media presence, which is often crucial for gaining voter recognition. Moreover, big donors can wield considerable influence over political agendas, pushing for legislation that aligns with their interests. Which raises questions about the integrity of democratic processes. The big question: what will all this money buy? Ultimately, will this tidal wave of money truly decide the outcome of the 2024 election? While money shapes messaging and drives policies, recent elections have shown that the candidate with the most funds doesn't always win. In 2024, the true question is, can big money buy voter trust? Americans are increasingly critical of bought and paid for politicians, challenging the influence of major donors like Musk and Koch. In 2024, voters hold the final power to choose leaders, despite billions in spending. This tension between big money influence and grassroots democracy is the story of the 2024 election, one that could change America's political future. In conclusion, the 2024 election may be one of the most expensive in American history, but it's also a test of democracy. One thing is clear: big money will continue to shape America's political future. From Elon Musk and Michael Bloomberg to Charles Koch and Ken Griffin, America's wealthiest citizens are pushing policies that align with their visions of the country. But as grassroots donations gain traction, the question remains: will billionaires control the outcome, or will everyday voters reclaim influence? Will Americans follow the big money trail, or will grassroots voices shape the outcome? Only time will tell. Thanks for watching. If you found this deep dive helpful, don't forget to subscribe and let us know in the comments how you think big money will influence this election.